Yes, hello, dears. This is the Ninth Dimensional Pleiadian Collective, and it is a pleasure and an honor to have the opportunity to connect with you. So we'll cover a fair amount of ground in a very short time that we have together. For those of you that we are not connecting with directly through questions and answers, know that we will be around for you. So as you are asking your question internally or even verbally in your own space, know that we hear you. Know that we will respond to you. Know that we will put information in your path until you get it or you no longer want it. So you all have so much support around you that it's almost unfathomable for you to really grasp how much support is there because you feel so alone. But truth be told, there's never a private moment that you have. There are always several beings with you at once. You've got two angelic guides that are with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they are looking out for you, and they are constantly supporting you, even if you're thinking that your guides are not there. And we hear many of you cursing our names, saying, "Where are you? Have you abandoned me? You're not helping me." We are helping. It's just a matter of you recalibrating your frequency, getting out of your own way so that you can hear what we have to say. It's letting go of your anger, your frustration, your pain for just a moment, opening yourself up, putting yourself in your heart center, thinking of something that puts a smile on your face will get the job done there. And as you are putting yourself in that space, then you can hear, you can receive ideas and inspirations that will shift you out of the spaces where you're struggling, where you're feeling heavy, where you're feeling fearful. So we just wanted to put that out there for you. Now, there were a couple of things that we wanted to talk about very, very briefly. And as Wendy mentioned, the importance of grounding. And it has been our theme for the last 6 months in private session as well as in group session, because it is something that seems so very simple, yet it is something that is incredibly important for you all to do. And those of you who are sensitives, what has happened is that you have spent many years without fully connecting in order to numb yourselves so that you didn't have to feel all of the discomfort, all of the pain from those around you as well as from yourself. And you managed and you got by, but that time has passed. And you are no longer going to be able to function fully, and certainly not at the level that you would like to if you're not grounding and connecting. And you will find that you will start to create physical limitations for yourself in order to get you to ground properly. And it doesn't take a lot to ground. All you have to do is any sort of visualization that puts the focus and emphasis on the body, all right, whether you want to see a beautiful white light or a golden light coming in through the crown of your head and moving through each and every cell of the body, and then that energy goes down through your feet to the pristine core of the planet. So when you think about connecting to Earth, many of you will think about connecting with the pain, with the wounds of the individuals on the planet. But now, what we ask you to do is to connect with the divine aspect, the divine essence of Mother Earth that is able to extend all of her unconditional love to you. She is able to nourish and support you. Your body is comprised of the elements of the earth, and they match the frequency, the pulse, the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And when you disconnect, you start to pick up or match rhythms that are not part of her natural rhythm. So it's vital that you ground and connect again. You, through your technologies, will start to create these artificial rhythms, and they are not in sync with Mother Earth. So the body is not able to recharge and regenerate in the same way. You're not able to pull down as much source energy or access. You know, we're giving you a visual, a linear visual image, but really it's accessing source energy from 360 degrees outside of you and 360 degrees inside of you. So you can access infinitely within you, at the very infinite small levels, source energy. And that's very hard for you all to think because your focus is always external. It's always on the expansion part, outward, but also know you can expand inward. And there is infinite source energy that resides within. It's just a matter of accessing it, and you have to be in the body, grounded, in order to run full energy. Also think about it this way. It's like plugging an appliance halfway into a wall outlet. It doesn't always run so well, and that's what's happening to you when you're not fully grounded and connected. So this is why we wanted to take just a moment to discuss this. And while it sounds like something that's very simple, and it is a very big problem for many of you. So that brings us to the second thing that we want to talk about, which is accessing more feminine energy, which is the restorative energy, which is the energy of being in receipt. And we really appreciated listening to Rob's story because we think it is one that many of you struggle with, that you have a desire to be of service and there is so much output of energy and you are not receiving in balance. So the output of energy is a masculine energy and the receipt of energy is a feminine expression. So you have to work with both masculine and feminine energy in balance. And right now you have been socially conditioned to only work with the masculine. The feminine has been so suppressed that you've forgotten how to work with it. You think that taking time for yourselves is not a valid or useful or deserved way to use energy, that you are not as important. And if you don't have energy, if you're energetically bankrupt, you can't be of service to anyone. Your body will tell you it's time to stop. And this is also why we're seeing so much illness on the planet at this time, because you are not taking the time to ground. You are not taking the time to reconnect to source energy, to receive this charge. It's also within this feminine space that you are able to receive ideas, where you're able to receive inspiration, all right, and get very clear about what you would like to do next. And then you select a frequency, and then you pulse it out. You move back into that masculine energy, and then you go back into a feminine state to observe once again, and then you see that energy coming to you from source as it provides you with that reflection, that manifestation. And in that feminine receptive state, you can observe it and say, that's the frequency I was asking for. And if you're too busy, you're in the masculine state, you can't see it because your energy is all going out. You're not in observance. So you have to be back in that feminine state to receive the energy as it is coming at you. And then you once again activate the masculine and step out to greet it, all right, to encounter it, to experience it. All right, so you have to work with both masculine and feminine energy together. It's not about using one to the exclusion of the other. It doesn't matter what body you came into, whether it's a masculine body or a feminine. You all have to run both polarities within yourself. All right, so those are the things that we wanted to make sure we covered. But let us go ahead and take a question, or if you've got a question for us, Rob, we're happy to answer that as well.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and it is a pleasure to talk to you again. I am always amazed at the energy and information that you share. I think the biggest question, the only question I ever ask to any entity who graces me with their time and energy is, what are we going to face as a collective in the next few months, in the next 3 to 6 months as an entirety?
A lot of issues around control and authority. A lot of issues around that. So that's certainly going to be heightened as you get into the beginning of August. Authority issues may show up in a variety of militaristic ways, all right, whether it's in the United States or in a number of foreign countries. Russia is also playing prominently in that energy. This is also about you expanding your perspective outside of your realm, taking time to see what else is going on in the world, because there are things that you can learn from vicariously. You can integrate your own issues, not by having to create drama in your own life, but by observing the drama that others are creating. You can start to recognize frequencies and say, oh, I play that out at the personal level, and now I can see it and shift it. So you can use that energy for yourself, and there's a lot that's going to be triggered about that authority issue. Control is another one. Control, trust, manipulation all go hand in hand. More information coming out probably late August about some corruption, more of the agendas. Take note of how you're feeling about all of this, because if you're feeling triggered, it's telling you that you have something running in your personal life that is a vibrational match. Control is a very sneaky thing, and it can be very subtle, and we'll give you an example of how control plays out. If you are walking through your day and you're thinking about the past, you're thinking about the past because there's some sort of judgment you're still holding on to. Usually it's guilt, shame, or blame. If you're walking through your day and you're thinking about the future, it's typically control, and what's driving the control is usually safety. You want to know how things are going to work out. You want to know how you're going to get from A to B. You want to have a pre-game plan in your mind so that you feel safe, so that you don't look like a fool and that you don't get the ridicule or you don't get the judgment from others. Now, anytime that you're walking through your day and you're not present in the moment, you're in some level of fear. So the only time that you really should be looking at your past or your future is a special time that you've set aside to observe that. Otherwise, you should be fully engaged with whatever it is you're doing. And control, again, can be something that's very, very sneaky. Some of you get very mental. If you're somebody who has a very difficult time meditating because your mind will not stop, we encourage you to do something creative. Do something with your hands. Because what will happen when you are really engaged in the creative act, you move out of the mind and you start to open up your heart energy, and you disengage from the mind. So it's a way for you to start to move out of the mind. Now, this is about being creative for the sake of being creative, not for the end result of the product or whatever it is that you're playing with. It's not about creating the masterpiece novel. It's not about creating the most beautiful work of art. It's about, can I be creative for the next 15 minutes? I may finish it, I may not finish it. It's about the journey. It's about the exploration right here, right now, and that's it. And outside of that, there's no other function for it. It's just about exploration. So to bring it back to what you're asking about, we see a lot of this coming up, but again, we see this as being positive because we see this as an opportunity for you all to expand. Authority in particular is really a big one because this is about you learning to be your own authority, not putting anyone else above you, not thinking that another person or a being in another dimension, such as ourselves, has an answer that is any better than the one that you have for yourself. You are an aspect of the divine, and as such, you are creating your reality. And when you create the quote-unquote problem, you also create the solution at the same time. Both polarities must exist. So it's a bit like a scavenger hunt where you hide the solution and then you go on this journey to see if you can find it. But you created it, and as you created it, you can also find it. But, many of you also keep asking us about disclosure. It's a big window, and at a public level, we would say it's not quite time, because for you to have full disclosure and contact would generate too much fear in the general populace. That does not mean that as individuals you cannot have your contact. It is one thing in theory to say, oh, I would like to have contact. It's another to have a physical being who looks vastly different from yourself, from another part of the galaxy, standing in front of you, having a conversation with you. And we would say what you're working on right now in elevating your consciousness and letting go of your fear is preparing you for this. It's allowing you to release some of this fear so that you aren't triggered in the same way. And any issue you have when you think about connecting with other beings in other realms, we guarantee you have the same issue going on at the 3D level with other humans, and vice versa. Any issue you have going on with humans, you will have interdimensionally, as above, so below, and vice versa. So not quite yet on disclosure, but no worries there. And we want to say one last thing here, because we have seen it come up lately for many of you. It's the impatience to see change. And again, Wendy talked just a little bit about it, but your desire for change at the collective level is a judgment that somehow the collective level is wrong. You would not be on this now moment where that's where the collective energy was unless it did not serve you. You put yourself on the now moment in which you can be of the greatest service to the collective, and as you are part of the collective, you are also serving yourself. Those are not separate expressions. Those are not separate goals. By serving the whole, you are also serving yourself. So many times you will think, well, I can't be self-serving. Well, yes, by serving the whole, you are in some way serving yourself, because you're only going to do things in the point of service that are uplifting to you in the process. Otherwise, it's not the right thing for you to be doing. It's not a vibrational match. So much we can talk about, but we'll kind of close it there for that.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And thank you so much for that beautiful reflection. If you don't mind, then we'll go to our first caller, and that is the 516 area code. It will be Lisa with us. Welcome to the show, Lisa. You have the floor.
Thank you. I'm so happy to talk to you, Peace.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. I'd like to know, my whole entire life, I've had a reflection of addiction, and I'd like to know how to release this. What affirmation can I say? I feel I've worked on it a lot, but apparently not enough. Is there anything that you can suggest that I could speed up? And I understand what you said, that this is a journey, but that I could just release this. I'd love some help.
All right, so there are several things that we would say. So all of you, in some way or another, have addiction, whether it's to chocolate, shopping, sex, drugs, attention. There are all different kinds of things that you can become attached to, addicted to. And really, the addiction is created because you're not connecting with source energy. So if you want to heal, quote-unquote heal, addiction, it's about creating a deeper connection within yourself, because you're trying to get that connection through something that is outside of you. You're trying to get that hit. You're trying to get that lift. All right? So as you spend more time grounding, as you spend more time in meditation, as you spend more time in gratitude, those are the things that are going to help accelerate your process. We also see an issue for many of you that you keep putting yourself in a category. You keep telling yourself the same story of who you think you are. If you keep telling yourself the same story of who you think you are, you're never going to change. So at some point, and we're not certain exactly at what point that is for each individual, it's different, but you will have to stop telling yourself the story that you're an addict, because that will keep you in a particular frequency range. As we said, in some ways, all of you are addicted to something. You are attached to something, habitually attached. All right, so it's letting go of that story of who you think you are and what you're capable. And there will come a point one day as you really start working more and more with this connection that you let go of the label. You let go of the story of who you think you are, because you will have let go of the desire for the behavior. Sometimes the fear comes that if you let go of the label, you will repeat the behavior. And we will say in some ways it's about having, that if you let go of the label, you're not having an awareness of the behavior. So we would say you can have an observance of your overall behavior, but you will let go of the label. All right? So just keep connecting, working with your own inner connections. We would say for you in particular, what we mentioned about authority is a big issue for you. Who are you to have an opinion? Who are you to hold a particular thought or a belief? Who are you is that you're a divine aspect of source energy, having a unique experience, and inherently you are valid in having that opinion simply because you are. It is your right as a being of and an aspect of source. That's who you are. So really we would say look at that, because you're not owning your power. You're not owning your own authority, to the right to hold your opinions or the right to hold your beliefs. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
1 second, I'll unmute. There you go, Lisa.
Yes,
Go ahead.
thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. Do you have a affirmation that I could say?
Give us just a moment. I acknowledge and express my divine authority in each moment. Authority, the way that you all think about it, is not about suppression of someone else's energy. Authority is in owning who you are. There's a lot of old energy that, we were talking, Wendy was talking earlier about Sirius and Orion. There's a lot of energy that comes from those systems about competition. And competition meaning that one is a winner, one is a loser. In order for one to be a winner, that means they have to suppress the other's energy. That there can't be a full range of expression and everybody thrives. There's lack and limitation, and only the person at the top who's suppressing everybody else is able to express. That's not true with authority, but that's the connotation with the word that you associate right now. All right, it's about control. It's about the suppression of energy. So this is about having true authority, is about expressing yourself and allowing everyone else around you to express themselves no matter what they are expressing. That's the hardest thing for humans to do, because you like to judge others' behaviors as being bad, as being wrong. That low vibration thing that you're doing over there, that's just wrong. No, it's equally valid in the expression and the exploration of source. It may not be a frequency that you would like to align with, but it is certainly a valid choice for that soul to have. You can align with something else. And that, we would say, is probably the hardest thing for you all to do on the planet, because you can point out another frequency, but you're never going to be able to force another to express a frequency. All right, so there's some allowance and acceptance that must come, and this is what true authority is. Those who are in authority that you are the most drawn to are those who are expressing the most divine light, who are speaking their truth from the highest level possible. And those you would like to see as your authority figures are the ones who you would feel drawn to. It's been corrupted a bit over the many centuries on this planet, but that is what true authority is. All right, so next question.
Thank you very much, Pease, and thank you, Lisa, for your question. We have a question in here from the chat room under an anonymous name, and this person asks, are muscle twitches in the physical body the same for all people in the energetic means? And what I think they mean is if my body is twitching, does that mean there's an energetic reason, and is it the same for everyone? For example, my eye has been twitching for over a month. It is causing me frustration, lack of sleep, and also guys think I'm flirting with them when I go in public. Does this mean that I'm twitching for the same reason someone else? And if so, what does a muscle spasm mean?
Well, it is different depending on the situation of the individual, because you can kind of stack issues together and get a different result. So there can be different core issues that create it. We would say the body right now, specifically the central nervous system, is a bit in overload. So we would say it's stress. It's really stressed. It's creating this response. How does that play out in the physical body? Typically, it's a magnesium deficiency. So as you are running stress, the body depletes the magnesium stores, and then the twitch results. Or, there may be another ailment that will also result. So again, it's at the energetic level, and for you, it's not feeling like you're in control of your environment, not feeling like you're in control of what's going on in your life. So look at that. You can also ask yourself, my belief that creates this present physical condition is, fill in the blank. Your subconscious will know. You might have to start the phrase. You might have to write it out. You might start it half a dozen times, but eventually the subconscious belief will run to the surface. It may not be logical. We're not talking always about logic. Sometimes it's an emotion. Sometimes those emotions are heightened from other lifetimes worth of experiences, the tuning forks in the room that are starting to vibrate. So you can ask yourself, and then ask yourself what belief you need to replace it with that will serve you. For you, I trust in divine flow would be the affirmation that we would give. All right?
Beautiful.
When you do affirmations, we would say one last thing. When you do affirmations, it's also feeling that energy. It's not just about having the thought. It's also about feeling the energy. All right?
Thank you so much. That was beautiful, and that was also a very beautiful way to work in a personal question, so it was meaningful for all. Thank you, listener, for that. It's over the 1 hour, 30-minute point. Do we still have time for another question or so?
Yes, 1 or 2.
All right, beautiful. The next call we will go to is Omira from the 773 area code. You have the floor.
Hello, good evening. So my question has to do with a vision that I had in May. I was working on a channeling class with Daniel, and I was able to get a vision that night. And that vision, I'm going to paint it up for you. And the sky was beautiful, dark blue, lots of gorgeous stars everywhere. Nothing like you can see here in Chicago. So it was gorgeous. And then there was like red rock. And then there was a ship on the floor, and it was like a black triangle, and it was like rented. And then there were 4 beings to my left, and they had round faces, and they had beautiful markings on their faces, kind of like Native American meet ETs or Native Americans meet Zetas. Not sure if it was Zetas, but I just kind of thought maybe. But I was wondering if you could give me like a better understanding of what it is that I was seeing, what was happening to me at that moment.
All right, so some of it, you will oftentimes ask us about your visions or your dreams, and it's really important for you all to start trusting yourselves. Sometimes they're literal, sometimes they're not, and sometimes because of what you're seeing multidimensionally is very difficult to translate into the 3D perspective, you will kind of alter the image and put it in a way that feels better or feels manageable or comprehensible to your 3D self. And there is a knowingness that you have within yourself as to whether it's literal or whether something feels different about it. It kind of feels like something, but not quite something, if you understand what we mean. You have a sense it was sort of like this, but I know that wasn't really what it was. And you need to trust that. What you're starting to see are some of the beings that are around you, some of the beings that you're interacting with. We would say you didn't see everything as it truly existed. You took it and put it into concepts that you could digest. Over time, you may also find that the imagery or the meaning will shift for you a bit because you're finding different language to interpret the energy. Sometimes you will take in energy in packets of information. And again, you don't always have the language for this multidimensional perspective. So it may take some time for you to pull it apart, for you to construct a new language, a new belief system in order to interpret the information. And so don't be surprised if you have another awareness or another situation that probably what we're seeing is about 6 months down the line here. Something else will get triggered, and you'll have a new understanding of what the original vision meant. So these are some of the beings that are present, that are around you. If you want to connect with them, you can. When you all connect with other beings, we suggest that you ground first. Really important, because if you're not grounded, there are two things. One, it's very difficult to remember the information, and two, it's very difficult to discern. If you're not connected with your body, it's very hard to really read the subtle frequencies and use your own personal discernment. So grounding first, put yourself in your heart center, think of something that makes you smile, something that expands your heart, set your intention, ask your question, listen. To set an intention, you can ask to speak with a specific group if you want. You can ask to speak with beings with the highest frequencies of light and love, all others you bind from you. And then use your discernment, take the bits and pieces that resonate out of the information that you're getting. And, it is going to feel like your imagination at first, but run with it. Because if you find an image, if you use your imagination, what you will find typically is that your imagination feels very flat in comparison to the vision of the information that you just received. What you all will do, you have to be in the heart center to receive the information, but you will go to the head to try to figure it out. And the moment you go back to the head, you're back in your fear, you're back in having to work through all those filters, and again, that multidimensional information can't be processed through the mind. So you lose some of that. But the moment you go back to your heart to try to process it and feel it, you're very clear that it was something different, that this was a real connection and there was real depth to it. So hold on to that security. We'll say one last thing, and that is most of you have the assumption that when you connect with your guides, it is as if the heavens are opening and there is a loud booming voice giving you the answer. If you're lucky, you might have one or two experiences in your lifetime that feel that strong, that are, without a doubt, you accessing multidimensional experiences. And typically when that happens, it is to really make sure you get on a specific path. But most of the time when you start working with the higher realms, it is very subtle because you are working with subtle energy. And again, it does feel somewhat like your imagination, but it's really important for you to trust in what you're getting, all right? And you all have an awareness if it's something that you're getting because you think you want to hear it. There is a part of you that has an awareness of that. And yes, it may be what you want to hear, and yes, it may be the truth. Sometimes it's not, and you know that. If you're really honest with yourself, you can feel it. No, I was really coloring that a lot, and I could feel that. My fear is wrapped up in that frequency, and that frequency doesn't feel as expansive. But that you will get with time. So after you've gotten your answer, ask for confirmation if you need it, and we will all do our best to put it in your field until you get it or you don't want it. All right, so we hope that answers the question. We know, this is about also you seeking out more information. Sometimes we withhold. We won't give you the full picture because it's not our place to give it to you. Because this kind of seeking of information to know exactly what it meant is part of your journey. It's the carrot that gets you moving. It's the teaser that says there's more information and you have to follow through, and you're excited and intrigued enough to actually follow the path, follow the breadcrumbs. So if we just gave it to you, you might not follow the path. So sometimes you are standing, your highest self is standing beside us saying, no, that's for me. That's part of my journey, so you can only give me so much. And in this case, this is one of those things. So you might not get the full picture from anyone else. You're going to have to get it through yourself. All right, so we've got enough time for maybe one short question. one quick question.
All right. We will take one more caller then. 708 area code. Who do we have with us this evening?
Right.
Yes, 708. Who do we have with us this evening?
Hello, this is Magic.
Greetings.
Magic, how are you doing?
Greetings. I have a question. I wanted to know, is there a message from my spiritual family incarnation?
All right, so we'll give you an answer, but we also want to teach you all how to be good question askers. And there's a reason for this, because the more specific you are with your questions, the more detailed answers we can give you from the other side. So when you ask really general questions, you tend to get general answers, and maybe not as specific as what you really want, because subconsciously you all have a desire to know something. And when you start getting clear about what your questions are, you start getting to know yourself better. You really have to dig a bit. So this is something for the future that we would encourage you to do. Your nervous system is a little overtaxed right now. We're seeing this with a lot of you, but you would do well to really spend time in nature, to ground, things that you can do to calm, creative processes that can allow the system to calm just a bit, because your mind is racing. Your guides are telling us that your mind is going a lot. You're trying to figure out a lot of things. And so you really need to go through the process that we just talked about grounding and connecting. And that's going to help you. That's one of the things that your guides really want you to know right now, because you can't receive all of their messages when you're in such a state. You have to go deeper and calm the system just a bit, because they do want to communicate with you, and you can't hear when the mind's busy. When you're in the head, you can't receive multidimensional information. It was meant to filter it all out. So you have to be in the operating system of the heart to receive that. And then the biggest thing that all of your guides want you to know is that they always hear you. And this is true for everyone. This statement is for everyone, that your guides always hear you, and they always, always, always respond. It's just a matter of you getting quiet to listen, to hear, to receive. So, again, coming full circle, you have a lot of support on the other side. So we just want to acknowledge that. We'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up here, but know that you can connect with us directly. You don't need Wendy. All you have to do is put yourself in your heart center, ground, ask your question, listen, use your discernment, take the bits and pieces that resonate, ask for confirmation if you need it. And until then, dear ones, we will be watching and waiting and sending many, many well wishes.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you to Wendy for being with us tonight. It's been amazing.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's every time I get a chance to talk to you, and both times that you've done the show, it's just amazing information that you bring forward, and then when you bring the peas in, it's another layer of amazingness. And I am just in awe by your ability and your clarity and your channeling, and I thank you so much for being a part. Is there anything that you wanted to tell the listeners before you head out tonight? Anything that you wanted to share or let them know?
I'm very excited about what we have coming up. Not to mention it again, but I'm really excited. So if you all do have a chance, whether you can join us live, it'd be great to meet some of you in person, or if you are just joining us streaming online. I sense it will be a very good event. So I'm very, very excited about that. And again, I want to thank you for having me on and having the chance to connect with everybody. It's always fun.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure is ours, and you're welcome back anytime that you'd like to. You always have an open spot on the show if you want to come and hang with us.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Oh, thanks again, Wendy, and we will see you very soon, and I'm sure I'll talk to you before then. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.